Howdy fellow modelers and styling fanatics, welcome back to my channel. I hope that everyone is doing fine and enjoys the homie. Concrete Banker is back again today with another one of its notorious episodes. On today's episode guys, me and Past George are starting to work on our Trabant 601 from Revell in 1 to the 24th scale and kit number 07713. I know that it has been a long time since you haven't seen me around, but there is a good reason and I am explaining that reason in the end of this video. Anyway, me and Past George have managed to do some work. We have managed to put some stuff together, paint some stuff, and we have accumulated enough footage for our first episode. So far so good, the build is processing nicely, the kit is a breeze. I am really having a blast. And nothing else for me to note, so I don't want to bore you any further guys. You all know the drill. Grab yourselves a seat, make yourselves comfortable, crack the mandatory cold one or a hot brew depending where you are in the world and what time it is right now, and let's see what me and Past George have prepared for you guys in this episode. Welcome guys, welcome, have a seat. It is time for us to start building our Trabant. To be honest with you, I just want to warn you that I have no particular plan in mind of how I am going to approach the build. I have something faint in mind, but nothing set in stone. I am going to simply wing it, you know, find solutions as I go. Either way, I am famous for that. Anyway, we're gonna start with the instructions. We're gonna start following the instructions. And right now in front of you, you are watching parts. Oh, sorry, you are watching cleaned pieces from step number 1 and 2 of the instructions, which is none other than those two. So step number 1 is the engine block, if I am not mistaken, and step number 2 is the front part of the engine block that consists from the alternator, if I am not mistaken, and the cooling fan, the radiator fan, if I am not mistaken once again. So let's assemble, let's take care of those two steps, and we are gonna see how we proceed from that point onwards. So simple and easy. Let's make sure that we are on frame. First step, 2 parts. They are keyed. You won't be able to do anything stupid. You just need to glue them together. So I am going to apply glue over here at the location holes for the beginning. I am going to press fit the parts together. And run my glue onto the seam, in between the seam line. And of course I will need something to hold this engine block together while the glue cures. Of course, and I am going to let it cure just for a moment, and I am gonna use this clamp. So while this is drying, let's move on to step number 2. Here things are simpler. So we need to we are gonna start from the alternator, what it looks to be the alternator. And then we are going to move on to the radiator fan, I suppose. Now I know that I should have done some research before I start putting this thing together, but you know me, I do things on my way, which most of the time is the opposite way. But anyway, so while we have those two parts glued to sub-assemblies glued together, we're gonna make them one piece. This is a step from this is something that we need to do on step number 3 of the instructions, or no, I am gonna leave them to cure for a bit, and I am going to be back with parts of step number 3. Okay guys, I am ready for step number 3. We have both sub-assemblies from step number 1 and 2 over here, and we need those 3 parts to complete step number 3. So what we're gonna start first. Okay, let's grab the engine block first. You need to hold it like that, with the narrow piece, I suppose, pointing upwards. Let me double check something. Sorry. Oh, come on. Yeah, exactly. So you hold it with the narrow piece, the narrow locating tab pointing upwards, and then you grab the what looks to be an oil pan, but it is not an oil pan, and the brackets with the holes need to point at your left side, at your left hand. So we hold the parts and we insert it like so, exactly as I have done. Okay, maybe I will need to apply some glue first. Let's grab the contactor, and of course, as always, let's unclog it. Don't try this at home, says the guy who is trying this at home. Anyway, let's do that again now. Boom. Okay, now that we have those two pieces together, we will grab this part, which is A8, and if my camera wants to focus, you can see it has two location tabs as well. One is smaller, this one is smaller, and the other one is bigger. So the smaller one needs to point upwards, and this part will go over here at the back of our engine and transmission. Like a glove, I have to say. And let's move onwards. Now we will grab the sub-assembly from step number 2 of the instructions. and we were gonna attach it over here at the front. So as expected, things are looking good, guys. Let's see if I can line it up properly. No, I cannot, of course, and I can't. Yep, in place. Or I think so. Not sure, yeah. Now it is in place. Last but not least, we need to grab this one, and this one will be placed as a lid on top of our empty space of the engine block. So boom, exactly in place. Let me apply some extra thin for good measure, and there we have it. So upon step number 3, completion of the instruction, upon completion of step number 3 of the instructions, you're supposed to be looking at this engine block. This is not complete, of course. It has many more accessories to go on top of it here, you know, not only on top of it, everywhere, but we have the engine block in itself. So let's move this aside, move our glues aside as well, and let's talk about step number 4 of the instructions. So right now, instructions state that I will have to attach the engine together with that bracket and this leaf spring suspension system. As you guys can guess, I will need to detail paint all this stuff. I will need to. Now it is the time to do this, and I will need to paint the chassis as well. Now this is the first point that I am going to deviate from the instructions. I am going to remove these parts to have them handy, you know, to keep them to keep them at bay, just to test fit parts of here and there. And I am going to proceed working on the chassis up to a point. To be honest, you will see what I mean. This one is step number 4. So on this step we are just going to remove the parts, the necessary pieces, and keep them at bay. Now we will move on to step number 5 as expected, and over here we will need to attach the wheel wells. Ooh, that's a problem. We have to attach. Oh, we have to go with the instructions. We have to go with the instructions because the leaf spring suspension system interlocks with the wheel wells, and the wheel wells interlock with the chassis. Oh, that's a little bit troublesome. Let me remove the parts and we will see from that point onwards. Give me a moment, guys. Okay guys, after messing a lot with the parts and trying to find a solution, I have found none. Everything in this kit is interlocking, and when I say interlocking, take step 4. For example, we have to first insert the engine over here, then we have to insert this bracket, that goes on top of the engine mounting points, as you can clearly see, and then we have to insert the leaf spring suspension system together with the shock absorbers on top of everything. And not only that, after that step, the wheel wells need to be inserted on top of everything and on top of the spring, the shock absorbers, which means that I will have to treat this car as an aircraft, aka I will have to build and paint and build as I go, which also means that I have to paint everything before I proceed. Well guys, I am back. It's been a moment for you, it's been a century for me. Now you're gonna tell me why I give you this information. I give you this information because I cannot remember what I was talking about in my previous clip, and I cannot be bothered to watch that right now, to be honest with you. So we will just proceed. What you see in front of you is parts that I have painted up to the point of step number 6, we're gonna call. I know that you have watched I have assembled the parts up to the point of step number 4, but while I was at it, while I was painting stuff, I did some things off camera. I did no assembly at all, I just painted stuff. So we can move ahead now. Before I start gluing pieces together, let's talk about colors. So all in all, I have used 12 colors, if I am not mistaken, to have this outcome that you see in front of you, to paint all these parts. I am going to talk about them one by one right now. Let's start from the easy parts first. This bracket you see over here and the chassis are painted. Let me move them out of the way while I am at it let's keep the chassis, sorry. So all the gray area is painted with come on, let's find it. Neutral gray 7992. I opted for this one because my intentions are to give a slight weathering on the chassis at the future. When I am talking about the slight weathering, I am talking about some dust effects and nothing more. Once again, I am going to do that with oil colors. Now over here on the front part of the chassis and the bracket that I have put it aside, both of them are painted with black 71057. The gray was model color. This one is a model air. I have also tried to detail paint the handbrake cables that run all the way to the back, just to give some additional detail. I don't know if you can see it. Yep, you can clearly see it. And that's all the job I have, all the work that I have done on the chassis. Now after that we're gonna move to our engine, which looks a little bit dark right now, but there is a lot of colors over here. So majority of the engine block, etc., and this thing, which I suppose it is the transmission, are painted with let's find it. Oh, come on. Gunmetal gray, model color 7863. Now the alternator and some other bits and bobs here and there are painted with aluminium, model air metallic 71062. The upper part of the engine is painted with black, with the same black as I have used on the chassis. These two pieces over here, these two small parts over here, are painted with 71065 steel. The fan belt is nothing else than dark rubber, Panzer Aces 306. The fan itself is brown green, model air 71030. Instructions stated beige, but that's the closest color that I had in my collection. And to top it all off, I have gave the engine a dark wash and nothing further done to it, to be honest with you guys. So that was the engine. Now let's move on our firewall and wheel wells. So obviously the firewall is a dead giveaway of my choice of color for this car. In the beginning I thought that I would paint it white, but then white is a little bit boring in my eyes, so I opted for the next most common color found in Trabant. This is light blue. The only light blue that I had in my disposal is this one, and that's what I used. Model Air 71255, light blue, RLM 76. I have bought this color in the past to paint a BF109, if I remember correctly. It's been with me since then, so I said to myself, why not painting the Trabant this color? I am relatively happy with the color hue, although it is quite on the green side if you ask me, and not on the blue side, but anyway, it is what it is. Now firewall is plain light blue. The wheel wells have some details. The details on the wheel wells are the bolt located on the top of suspension position, which is painted with steel, and this one as well, this small piece over here. And I have painted, some cabling with black, the same black that I have used up to this point. Now, last but not least, let me zoom in a bit so you can have a better look, because I am really happy with the effects that I have achieved here. Is our leaf spring and suspension system. I opted to weather the leaf spring suspension system, mainly because leaf springs over here in Greece tend to have surface rust. This happens because we do not need to maintain our cars so often. I mean, what I want to say, here in Greece, snow is not so it is not an often phenomenon, which means that there is no salt thrown onto the roads, which means cars do not rust as fast as other countries, like Canada, Germany, etc., which means we do not need to maintain them as often. So surface rust can be found in our leaf spring suspension system if they are not covered by dust, etc. So I opted for that effect, mainly to give the undercarriage of the vehicle some extra interest. Now, how I achieved this effect and what I have used. I painted the whole thing progressively from darker to lighter tones. So, first coat of paint on the leaf spring suspension system is dark rust 302 from Panzer Aces, my usual suspect. Then first coat of dry brushing, second coat of dry brushing is light rust, and the label is long gone, I think is 301. And the final coat of dry brushing is yellowish rust, Panzer Aces 303. And as you can see, our effect is pretty convincing. We have highlights and we have dark areas. I haven't used, and I won't use, panel liner over here because you can really tell what's going on, As I've said, we have dark areas and we have highlights. The part is really visible from far away. The coilovers, the shock absorbers, are painted with black, and that's all the work that I have done off camera. Now, what's our next step? What I am going to do on camera, if you ask me. We're gonna have a long clip here, guys. I am going to start the assembly from the point that we left it, so which means that we will continue with step number 4. So what I need for it, I need my chassis, let me see something. I need our suspension system, the engine, and this subframe. That's how I am going to call it. So if I remember correctly, which I do, what we need to attach first we need to attach our engine to two knobs over here, and I need to apply glue. Let's apply some super glue because parts are painted, and I forgot to unclog my super glue. Okay, good to go. Let's rest the engine on top of it like we should. Let's make sure that it sits flat. Okay, there's another point over here, connection point over here, exactly where my fingertip is, and then we have to apply glue. Okay, there, exactly. Let's see if I am in frame. There is a spot right in front of the engine mounting point. There is two square spots. I know that you probably won't be able to see them, to spot them right now, but you have to take my word on that. And those two spots are the connection points of the chassis with our subframe. Which needs to drop on top of the engine, and that's why I was struggling with painting up to this point. Now it has become apparent. Last but not least, we have to last for step number 4. We have to attach our suspension system on top of everything. So now I am going to use extra thin, mainly because where the suspension mounting points are, I have no glue. I have no paint. Paint is nowhere to be found inside those holes. And whenever I can and whenever it's possible for me, I will use modeling cement, except instead of super glue, because I hate super glue. Bond is instant, but it is brittle, to be honest. In my case, at least, I don't know. Friends recommended me to use another type of super glue. When I say another type, I am talking about the gel type. I wasn't able to grab a gel type super glue yet, so we will have to work with this one for the time being. And I need to clamp the suspension in place, mainly because it doesn't want to stay there for some reason. Something is kinda on the way. So this concludes step number 4. I am going to pause the video for a moment, let all glues to cure, and I am going to be back for step number 5 and half of step number 6. Okay, everything is dry, and here is how it is supposed to be looking after completion of step number 4, guys. Okay, things are looking good. Now we need to move on to step number 5. Step number 5, we have the attachment of the wheel wells. So let's start putting them together. I think that we have to be careful is, you see this hole over here. Let me grab a pointer so I can make my point more obvious. So you see this hole over here, exactly where the end of my file is. This will correspond with the shock absorber over here. This square will correspond over here with this part over here, and this square will correspond with this square over here. And hopefully I was in frame. So let's start applying glue in various position in the various spots or parts will be placed. I am going to start with super glue. And then I am going to proceed with extra thin, and let's hope for the best. So this will need to be placed over here. Let's see. Yeah, I wish. I think that I am in place. Kinda in place. Come on, darling. Okay. This will be troublesome. To say the least. And we have one wheel well in place. Let's do the exact same on the opposite side. Here, here, and there. Let's line up the shock absorber this time first, and then the rest of it. And the wheel wells are in place. last, and this should complete step number 5. Let me give you a look, give some time for the glue to kinda set, and this concludes our step number 5. And now we're gonna move on to half of step number 6, because I haven't painted this part. I just painted the firewall, just to keep everything square, and this is the point that we are going to stop and I am going to explain you why we are going to stop at this point in a while. So let's see, let's do a test fit first. Okay, yeah, things are looking good. Okay, so as you can clearly see, these slits need to go in this groove on either side, and we have those two location pins over here that correspond with two squares over here at the chassis. Extra thin over here, and let's proceed with caution. Yeah. Make sure that okay. And this is half of step number 6, guys, and we kinda have an engine bay, kinda. Now I will leave the glue to dry over here, and also I will leave the glue to dry completely on the wheel wells, and then apply some glue over here. Make sure that everything is square, and just do the final adjustments. Glue the final spots. Now let me give you a closer look. And let's talk about it a little bit. So guys, so far so good. I have really great feelings for the kit. Assembly, I can see that it is a breeze, assembly wise, things interlock together nicely, but it's taking us some time to paint and assemble, paint and glue stuff together. This is the nature of this particular build, and this is the reason why why it took me so long to do an update, the first episode, or whatever you wanna call it. Now I am going to wrap this episode up. I think that I have a significant amount of footage, and I want you guys to have something to see. I want you guys to see that I am still alive. So with all that said and done, we have made it to the end of this episode. On our next episode, we will probably continue our work on the Trabant. I suppose that we are going to finalize the engine bay, but let's talk about it then. I hope that you guys found this video helpful and interesting and stick along for the next episode. Before I go, I want to thank each and every one of you guys for watching this video. A special thank you to all my subscribers, old and new ones. You guys are the best and you are the reason I keep doing these videos. Now, for the newcomers out there that encounter one of my videos for the first time, welcome guys. I hope that you like what I do. If so, you all know what to do. Leave a like, comment with your thoughts and opinions, share the video if you believe it deserves to be shared, or even consider subscribing for more builds to come your way. Until the next time, fellow modelers and friends, take care and model on. It was that Mofo Daemon, signing out.